Niagara, how you doing? Shawn DeLaat here from the Davids DeLaat Real Estate Team, and I love doing these shows from community involvement to local businesses to some partnerships that Davids DeLaat has with some preferred vendors. This is the show to tune into, and today I'm very excited to invite and announce A&M Designs, Anna and Maggie. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And so I'll touch base a little bit on A&M Designs in the sense that you guys are stagers as well as interior designers per se. And one thing is that Davids DeLaat loves to work with A&M Designs for our home staging, as well as I can personally talk about my own experiences. I've had you in my home to do some designing as well, because my eye for design is thumbs down. So anyways, welcome guys. So happy to have you here today. And I think first off, let's just find out a little bit about yourselves. Obviously, I know you guys are moms, you're married, you have 2 children. Yeah. And you know, being in the staging game, I'm sure probably staging wasn't your first career path. So maybe you can give us a little background of where you were and how you got to the creation of A&M Design.
Sure. So I went to school and I became a dental hygienist. I still do that a day a week. And when I was on my mat leave, we're sisters, so we've always loved decor, design. We always watched HGTV. We would go to model homes, and I just said, you know what, we need to work together. So it's now or never. I'm on my mat leave for a year. Let's do it. So we did it.
Dove in.
We dove in. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic, and glad you guys did, because you guys do a phenomenal job. It's funny you speak of HGTV, and I can say that was definitely, I think, the trend changer for real estate as a whole. And I can speak myself, being in the business 20 years. HGTV just kind of started back then. All the new shows, the renovations and everything like that has drastically changed the game. From when I first started in real estate, the attitude was, well, just put it up, put it at the price, and there was no such thing as decluttering or anything like that. And gradually, a year, 2 years, especially the 3 years in, my real estate career is when staging actually became a full-on thing. Yeah. And it turns out that houses just don't sell themselves anymore, you know? And I think that's very important for some people to know, is that houses definitely don't sell themselves anymore, and there is things we can do to improve their homes. So with all that being said, I think there is definitely a perception about staging that people think, oh my goodness, Shawn, don't even mention the word staging to me, because you're going to have a stager come in here, they're going to charge me to take out all my furniture, they're going to have their own painter come in and charge me more because they're going to ask me to paint my whole house and do this, and it's going to cost me $15,000. And we're here today to tell people that is 100% not the case. No. And why don't you talk about your vast different staging methods per se? I don't know. You guys are in the game. You guys know best, but maybe you guys can talk a little bit about that of how, you know, sometimes we can agree the money has to be spent,
for sure,
but other times you don't.
Definitely, it doesn't have to be all about the money. A lot of times, you walk into somebody's home and they've got the key furniture pieces that are needed. They're in great condition. But they don't have the extra little touches that you would add to just fluff it up a little bit. Yes. Decorative pillows, some artwork. It goes a long way.
100%. So for those out there right now listening, fluff, we're going to call it fluff today. Fluff sells. And we're going to talk about some examples of why fluff sells from some of the listings we recently just listed through doing some simple, very economic sources of staging. And then we can also talk about St. Augustine as well, which was a phenomenal transformation, and we'll talk about that. So, but you're right. So you can definitely do little touch-ups as far as fluff, things like that. You know, and again, I think we can talk about price range as well, right? You know, some people think to themselves, oh, I have a $350,000 house. I don't really have to do anything. And you know what? I'm going to say that I was along those lines for a little while, thinking that, no, you're right. You don't need to do anything. The price is going to sell the house. And it's true. The price will sell the house. But more recently, I've seen some examples of the fluff and in these lower priced homes that actually help the seller get more money than not doing it, for sure. And I can speak to that. But I think more importantly too is we do want to touch on some of the higher end properties as well, where they may need a little more to do, such as painting and stuff like that. But I've also seen great success in that. So we touched on the economic fluff, but what about taking things to the next level as well? You know, number one, I'd like to know when you, because again, the way it works for us is that, you know, when I am getting a potential listing, I mentioned the clients a little bit about staging. And beyond that, in all honesty, I don't say anything. I leave it up to you guys to have the tough conversations with the seller then at that point. I'm going into a relationship with them where I'm going to be doing the sale of the property, and I want to have a great relationship. I don't want to bruise their feelings. So number one for me as a real estate agent, having you as a stager go in is ideal because you can knock them down a peg, bruise their ego a little bit, but in a nice manner. And I'm going to tell you this much, any person that I've sent to you guys, they all end up staging. So they see the vision, they understand it, and not only that, there's certain houses where I know they need staging, and I really encourage them, like, listen, do what Anna Maggie say. But, you know, there's other times where some people just choose not to. But I think more importantly, it's more about, like, the high-end homes. I haven't really had anyone go, I did at one point have someone spend quite a bit of money to stage their home. Through painting and full furniture removal, and it worked out very well. But I know when people hear some of those higher prices to get things done, you know, it's a tough pill for them to swallow. So how has that been for you guys?
Actually, like, not bad. Like, we always walk into a space and we hate saying, you know, you got to remove this, take that out, take this out. We're going to, you know, transform. We want to, in a nice way, say that in a higher price point home, it needs to look. It needs to look.
They call a luxury home for a reason. And you know what? When agents, quote, say they're selling luxury, well, I don't know about them, but myself, I want my listing to look luxury as well. And you know what? The thing is, too, is sometimes in these luxury homes, they're family homes. And we can all agree, families get complacent in their houses. They have their kids, they have their day-to-day life. They're not thinking of selling. They're clutter of the past 10 years. They've been in their house, and you know, kids colored on walls and different things like that. And in their mind, they're just living their lives. And to them, it's no harm, no foul, right? But then it comes to the time where you get the call, Shawn, we want to sell our house, come on by. And I see juice stains in the carpet and things like that. And, you know, they even mentioned, should we change the carpets? And my comment is, you know what, most likely yes, but I'm going to have my lovely stagers, A&M Designs, come through your home, and they're going to tell you exactly what to do. That is going to make this house burst at the seams and help your house sell. You know, sometimes the key thing is, too, is sometimes staging will definitely increase value, therefore getting the seller a better price. But other times, staging may not necessarily increase value, but actually just give you saleability. Whereas sometimes if you got that old dated house and, you know, it's at a certain price point, people aren't gravitating to it. But through some small little fluffs or painting, you know, going to neutral colors rather than the red and things like that can really drastically change it. And then even saleability then comes back actually to price again, because that dated house might have not garnered as good of an offer as they would have gotten as though they staged it. So staging is definitely key. And right now, due to the current market, you know, houses are selling themselves per se because of the demand and just because of the demand, the price points and everything like that. But there is a shift, I think, coming, which will be maybe a little bit of a flattening, slight decrease in the market. And with that shift comes houses not selling as quickly. And then if that's the case, then staging is going to be huge and key again. So with all that being said, I'd like to bring up some examples of some houses that you've done for us lately, and would love to shout out Emily DeSantis on our team, who is a big, huge fan of A&M Designs, and she has really taken the staging on her listings to the next level. And for example, her property on Lynn Lake, you guys did some staging there. It was a great house, but you guys made the layout, I think, a little more conducive, just with some small touch-ups and some small modernizations. And with all that being said, she garnered approximately 5 to 6 offers on that property and sold it for substantially over the asking price. So kudos to you guys. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was just a fluff.
Yeah.
It was a fluff for the most part, other than the main floor layout, which was a little awkward. So we did bring in some furniture pieces there.
Yep.
But most of it was fluff.
Yeah, and again too, for everyone listening, to bring in a couple furniture pieces is not going to break the bank either. And the truth is you brought up one thing right there. I think we can touch on. Actually, we can touch on. I'd actually like to hear from you guys. What are the numerous numbers of reasons that you run into for staging? Like you touched on awkward layout.
Awkward layout, yeah.
Awkward layout's huge. You know, you can reconfigure an awkward layout to work a little more conducive to the masses. And again, that's what we're looking at when staging a house, is to make the property appeal to the masses, you know? And homeowners have to remember that they've lived in their house. They've had a great life in their house. They've had it decorated the way they've liked it. Maybe they don't watch HGTV. They've kept the maroon paint on the walls.
And blue, yeah.
But when selling, you're not in your house anymore. You have to take yourself out and put every other family that is currently looking on the market, who is watching HGTV and watching all the shows. So we talked on awkward layout. What are some of the other things?
Big one is decluttering and minimalizing, because there are a lot of homes where, like you said, they've been there for 20, 30 years. Stuff accumulates, and you just keep adding furniture pieces, and you'll bring little knickknacks and kind of put them on the walls, little tchotchkes. Well, all those things, you know, don't appeal to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So the less in a home, the better. It helps show a buyer how big your space really is, instead of them trying to figure out, okay, I don't know if my stuff is going to work here, because they can't see the space.
100%. And I agree with you. The number one thing that I see in most houses that could help them sell better is definitely a better decluttering process. I think that for sure is actually number one when it comes to the staging process, is decluttering, exactly like you said, minimal. Minimal is the new thing for houses and staging. So we've touched on decluttering. We've touched on also two awkward spaces. Again, very important, because I can speak of 2 properties that I had listed in Port Dalhousie that had exponentially small living rooms. And the one property I had listed for quite a while, not staged, relisted it staged, and within 3 weeks, it was sold. When it wasn't staged, people could not get over the small living room space. We then relisted it, staged it. You guys did a phenomenal job. And by doing that, the interest picked up. The pictures online presented it way better. People could walk in the front door and at least envision what they were looking for. And there you go. And the key thing is for a Niagara resident, probably wasn't quite what they were looking for, because we're mostly used to larger living spaces. But again, that other property you guys just did for me about a month ago, we knew our buyer was going to be a Toronto buyer that lived in a condo. Because that living space was really tight, but someone who lived in a condo would be used to that. So sure enough, got you guys to stage it. 2 weeks later,
Gone.
got the buyer, the Toronto buyer with the condo, and now they're my neighbors. So excellent, well done. But I think more importantly, what I want to touch on is, you know, things that start getting into renovations per se. And I'm not talking full kitchen renos and bathroom renos and stuff like that, but just simple things like painting. I know a lot of people are hesitant to painting, countertop changes, you know, other little fixes that can really turn the property around. So maybe you guys can touch a little bit on that as well, just to fill people in on what could really help them out and maybe not to be so scared about doing some of those fixes.
Honestly, painting doesn't cost a lot and it goes a long way. We walk into a lot of homes that they're just dark walls, brown chocolate walls, and it just brings everything, like, you know. So painting a nice light neutral color will make the space look like completely different home. So doing something like that, even like you said, kitchen, no,
yeah, and that's just a minimal amount of money you're going to spend to paint. And your kitchen is like a heart of a home, right?
Absolutely.
So I would say that could be an area where you can spend a little money.
Yep.
And like you said, countertops. You've
Backsplash.
got backsplash, your laminate countertops, you know, maybe change them out if they're looking really, really dated. Light fixtures.
Absolutely.
That's a big one.
Absolutely. And what I call that is refresh. Just refreshing.
Yeah.
Again, not full on renos,
No.
but refreshes. And what refreshing does, and just so everyone out there knows as well, what refreshing does is, if you left your kitchen as is, someone would look in and go, oh my goodness, this is a gut job. Whereas you do the refresh, people look at it and say, okay, they've done some things. They're not looking at your kitchen as that immediate gut job, that immediate dollar that they're going to have to spend right away.
Yeah.
They look at it and go, okay, you know what? I may want to do the kitchen at some point, but they've done the counter, they've done the backsplash, it's kind of modern now, I can deal with it, and they'll live with it for the next potential 5 years as is, and then can do their reno after. So refreshing is very huge to help definitely make your house more saleable and make the buyers a little less picky and maybe so hard on the house as far as the price. May get you a little bit of a better offer because the buyers don't feel you have to be so negotiable because of some of all the work and different things needed. And I've seen some great properties. So, you know, I had a listing in Niagara Falls. And I remember meeting with the seller, and fantastic couple. And when I first initially met with her, had a really great meeting with her, went over everything. She was ready to go. And I said, okay, great. Well, I saw the house initially, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous. I thought it was gonna be a tough sell, just because of some of the decor and all this stuff, the way it was set up. So we talked about staging in my listing presentation. Davids DeLaat offers free staging consultation. Got my good friends from A&M Designs to go over to the house. And, you know, you guys talked to them. They were open to everything. They took it on. You guys did a phenomenal job coaching them. But not only that, selling a home is a full team. It's a full team approach in the sense that you guys provide your style, expertise, and everything like that. But it's also on the seller. If the seller wants to save the money, they can do some things. They can paint, they can declutter. You know, you guys are there for guidance and you can save a lot of money. For example, like this couple. You guys did your thing. Oh my goodness. It was a brand new house. We listed the home. The pictures turned out amazing. The amount of activity I got in that property, I wasn't biting my nails anymore from the first meeting I had them. The activity was great. I showed it myself, and it was a complete 360 from the way it was. And I think that's a prime example of how a family, they're not thinking of selling their house. No. They just got comfortable in their house, and who cares how it looks? Okay. And it's okay. And hey, you know what? I decorated this 10 years ago. It might not be in style, but I'm not going to go spend money to redecorate my house at this time. But of course, a few small bucks. You guys did a phenomenal job. So staging is key. And to touch base back on Emily, DeSantis from the team, she's been using you guys for a couple refreshes as well. So we just listed a nice little bungalow in downtown St. Catharines. Emily and I were going across back and forth on price. The property was listed yesterday. I saw the pictures, I saw the video from our good friend Carlos at Modern Vision Photography. Want to shout out our good buddy Carlos as well. But tell me what you guys what you guys did to that house, so people know that, and then I'll touch it with my feedback on it as well, and go from there.
So the price point was honestly very low.
Yep.
We used all their furniture. We added lamps, light lamps, modern lamps. We added nice bright pillows, you know, to bring some color and some lightness because it was a bit dark. Throw light accents. Like, we didn't go overboard at all, but just moving some furniture pieces around, adding some light accents went a huge way.
And the decluttering.
The decluttering.
That was another one.
Decluttering, exactly. And so for all those of you out there listening to this, simple decluttering and some accent pieces, I'm telling you, made this house a showpiece online, and it will garner so many showings from the fantastic job you guys did. And this was all done at a minimal cost. You just heard what they said that they did. They used existing furniture, you know, brought in some extra pieces. And again, the most important thing too is you rearrange furniture to make it work with spaces better. Yeah. And a lot of times people get comfortable in their houses. They have their houses set up because, okay, the kids watch TV this way and it's worked for their family, but not necessarily that it works for every family or the masses. And that's the other key thing about having you guys as stagers and your design, is that you guys help people think outside the box. You know, I'll never forget when I bought my house, which was only 5 years ago. You know, it was beige, browns, all this stuff. And I didn't have any inclination to paint my house or anything like that. We went and bought furniture to match the browns. And then someone had mentioned to me, Shawn, you're going to paint your house gray, right? Because gray's the new thing.
Gray is the thing.
And they're like, Shawn, you're in real estate. You should know this. Like, gray's the color. And I'm like, oh, beige, builder beige. And that was the house, the color of my house. Sure enough, the next day, went out and showed houses. I think I ended up showing 15 houses that day. I counted every house, 8 of them all gray. So obviously Shawn needs to sometimes to watch and catch up with the show, but you guys are kind of more up on the current trends as well. I think that's the point of the story I'm trying to get to, is Shawn was used to the old beige, which was the color for the whole 1990, 2000 kind of thing. And you know, the 80s was every room had to be a different color. We got through that to the beige, and now we're into the grays. And but gray really is a great color these days. It really, like you said, brightens up the house. That is so key as well. You know, I have another listing that I would have loved them to have staged it. They chose not to. The house is still sitting on the market. It's dark, and I know if it was staged that they would be off the market and sold for sure. So staging can be very, very beneficial. And you know what? And again, too, I think it's very important that Davids DeLaat and A&M Designs work with the seller to make it work for them as well. You know, I think you guys can talk, you guys can mention a whole bunch of different things, but again, I think we can all agree, we put options to them and let them choose the options. So I think maybe what we can do is just quickly touch base on, so people know the process of kind of what it entails from you know, obviously whether they call us, we get the listing presentation done, say Davids DeLaat, we want to move forward, we'd love to talk with your stagers. So we basically put you in touch with the seller. What's the process about?
We so from there, once we get the phone call, we'll contact the seller. We'll set up a consultation. We'll go through their home. Most of the time, we kind of do our own thing. We go into a house. We take our pictures. We do our measurements. Jot down our notes. And sometimes the homeowners actually want to do like a walk around with us. So we take them room to room, let them know if there's anything that they've got to eliminate, maybe if there's something that we think that they should be adding to the space. And then we'll, normally within about 48 hours, we'll send them a detailed report. On that report, it basically just tells them, you know, items that they need to do, like if they've got to declutter, and things that we could possibly provide for them.
For sure. And
then at that point, it's up to them.
For sure.
What they want.
And that's the most important thing I think everyone needs to know is number one, you point out things that they can do themselves. You point out things that are probably a little more high priority that you would suggest.
Yes.
And then other things too, like, hey, you know what, painting this would be great. It's up to you guys if you want to do it and things like that. So hopefully everyone got the vibe that staging is key. And I think this coming year, staging will be even more key. Again, shout out to Emily, because she has definitely got a fire in my belly to start encouraging some people to stage a little more as well, because I certainly have seen the value she's done in a couple of her listings that recently just got posted this week. And it's going to be very interesting to see the result. I think it's going to work out very well for her and her sellers. So guys, anyone who wants interior design, I can speak myself as a personal client as well as staging needs. A&M Design is Davids DeLaat's preferred choice because they're the best. And so thank you guys so much for coming on the show. And everyone out there, please don't forget to subscribe to our Facebook, to our YouTube, and give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, all the wonderful social media channels, because we would love to have you follow us and see more. Thank you guys. What's Up Niagara, out.
Hey folks, thanks so much for tuning in for this week's episode of What's Up Niagara. And if you want to stay tuned to what's going on in Niagara, be sure to like and subscribe us on YouTube as well as Spotify. You can also give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, and our website at davidsdelaat.com. That's DAVIDSDELAAT.com. Be sure to let your friends and family and relatives and your dog know that we exist, so then we get more viewers. That'd be cool.